What's up everyone, it's Nick. Alright, this is once and for all about this year's New York Yankees. It's definitely not really worth raising my voice over anymore, so if you came here for that, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is not going to be some raging video like I've done before, because it's just not worth it anymore. I feel like I'd just be beating a dead horse, and besides, it's not healthy to just keep doing that. However, I'm not going to hide from the fact that this team disappointed, the fact that this season was a failure. If you say otherwise, I really do not know what to tell you, considering the fact that this team fell way short of their expectations. They were supposed to be a contender this year, couldn't even make it to the ALDS. If that's not a failure, I just don't know what to tell you. So, in 2017, the Yankees were one win away from the World Series. It looked like a dynasty was in the making, especially when they got Giancarlo Stanton a couple months after they lost Game 7 of the ALCS. I was pretty confident that a dynasty was awaiting too. And here we are now. Yes, more regular season wins, however, not an ounce of more postseason success. At some point, you got to be able to get to the mountaintop, and the Yankees have not done that yet. I'm not a GM, so I'm not going to act like I would be a good one, because no, I wouldn't be. That's why I'm not one. But clearly, when you still haven't gotten to the mountaintop 4 years later after you made it to Game 7 of the ALCS, clearly some changes need to be made. Some tough decisions do need to be made. So if you want to consider liking the video, yeah, that'd be much appreciated. If you want to consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell for more sports content from me, I'd appreciate that. Obviously, not all my videos are going to be like this. In fact, I don't even know if I'm really going to throw footage into this one. I do in my other videos, but I don't think I'll really waste my time with that for now, so let's just get going with this. Did this team even get the memo that this is a win or go home game? At least Giancarlo Stanton got the memo. Not so sure about most of the team. At least Anthony Rizzo hit a home run. Aaron Judge was 1 for 4. He didn't have a terrible game, but definitely not an amazing game. But for the most part, this team was absolutely lifeless. It's not Boone's fault that the bottom of the order was what it was in this game, considering DJ LeMahieu was injured, and Kyle Higashioka is Garrett Cole's personal catcher anyways. I get that. It's also not Aaron Boone's fault that Garrett Cole did not show up in this must-win game. As much as I don't like Aaron Boone, I'm not going to be one that'll criticize him for literally everything. There are some things that no manager could do anything better about. However, I definitely wasn't a fan of the way this lineup was constructed. Anthony Rizzo hitting leadoff, for example. Since when was Anthony Rizzo a leadoff hitter? He should be hitting cleanup. He's not a leadoff hitter. I'd rather have Brett Gardner, even as much as he looks washed, I'd still rather have him in the leadoff spot. Even Gleyber Torres, who you've had in the leadoff spot before, I would rather have him in the leadoff spot than Anthony Rizzo. Or Joey Gallo hitting fourth. Why? Even though Joey Gallo only struck out once in this game, typically you'd rather have him hit sixth. But instead you decided to hit him fourth. So yeah, I definitely was not a fan of the lineup. And also the fact that this team looked lifeless for most of the game. That's definitely bad managing. You know, this team changes the lineup all the time. How are guys supposed to stay in rhythm like that? Even though this game wasn't entirely Aaron Boone's fault by any means at all, or the guys that are controlling him in the analytics department, I just wish that we could go back to when the front office assembles the team and the manager manages the team. That's how it worked in the past, how it should still work today, how it should still work 100 years from now. If baseball's still being played thousands of years from now, that's how it should still work thousands of years from now. Even if Aaron Boone was making all the decisions on his own, I still don't know if he could really be good at it. Just no feel for the game whatsoever. Especially for a guy who actually did play in the big leagues before. Now let's talk about Garrett Cole. You looked like a Cy Young candidate for much of the season. Even after the spider tag thing, you did have stretches where you looked absolutely brilliant. I was about to endorse you for the award last month. I only didn't because I got sick by the time I was planning to make the video. And then when I felt better, you pitched like crap, and then I had to completely forget about making the video. And now, in a one-game elimination, you couldn't even make it out of the third inning. That's what you're getting paid $36 million a year for? Now let's not get carried away. like some people are. It's not like Garrett Cole has never succeeded in the playoffs before. Sure, he was using spider tag, okay, but going into this game, he did have a career 268 ERA. I'm sure that skyrocketed after this game. But to pitch this poorly in a must-win game, when you're being paid that much, you do deserve to be criticized. There were plenty of Yankee fans in attendance. You should be giving them their money back. You, Garrett Cole. And hey, since you're making $36 million a year, you should be able to make that money back no problem anyways. I don't feel bad for you if you're the one that has to give all the Yankee fans in attendance all their money back. Joey Gallo. Yes, he only did strike out once in this game. I definitely do not mind not bringing him back. He looks lost in left field. I was happy to know he can play all three outfield positions. He is better off in right field. That's why I was open to Judge moving to center field. However, Judge can't play center field. So, clearly, Joey Gallo is kind of useless on this team. Even if he is a lefty bat. For how much he strikes out and the fact that clearly he belongs in right field, and that's a position that belongs to the best player on the team. I'm sorry, I just don't see any reason to bring Joey Gallo back. Oh yeah, Phil Nevin, why on earth did you send Aaron Judge home on that play? Why?
Moron! Fathead!
It's like you were wearing an invisible blindfold when sending Aaron Judge home on that play, especially with one out. You know left field at Fenway Park is very shallow. And for how hard Giancarlo Stanton hit that ball, you should know that that's going to bounce off the wall hard enough to be able to get that ball back in the infield real quickly. There was just no reason to be sending Judge home on that play. No reason at all. The guys on the Yankees that I say can definitely walk out with their heads high. Aaron Judge, the dark horse AL MVP candidate. Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Jonathan Loaizaga, Clay Holmes. Even though Nestor Cortez didn't pitch in this game, I'd say he can too, for how much better he pitched this year than expected. Jordan Montgomery's another guy I'd say he can walk out with his head high that didn't pitch in this game. Anyone else I miss? I think Jameson Taillon can as well. That's about it though, right? Well, as for Aroldis Chapman, he was able to get right towards the end of the year, just when he was bad, he was really bad. If you say Giancarlo Stanton only hits meaningless home runs, you don't know what you're talking about. He barely missed a home run twice in this game. When he did hit one, so what if the score was 6-1? What do you want him to do? Just quit? The game wasn't over, so what do you want him to do if you say that was a meaningless home run? The Yankees wouldn't have been in the wild card without him. The entire last 2 months of the season, he was playing at an MVP level. He only won't be in the conversation for the award because his first half was pretty subpar. For what he's done since August though, if he hasn't won you over yet, he probably never will. Unless maybe he wins World Series MVP, but get a real manager and he may actually have a shot at that. Even though Jonathan Loaizaga lost control in the second inning, he was out there. Yeah, this is one of many problems with Boone. He constantly mismanages the bullpen. He left him out there for too long. Again, I'm not a GM, so I'm not going to act like I know as well as a GM or better. I'm not going to try to play GM here, but just changes definitely need to be made. We can't be complacent with just making the playoffs every year. At a certain point, like I said, you have to get to the mountaintop, and the Yankees just haven't done that yet. Haven't even been to the World Series since 2009. I'm going to be 28 real soon. The last time the Yankees won the World Series, or even were in the World Series, I was 16 years old. It's getting inexcusable. With this much money, when you're a big market team like the Yankees and you still can't get to the mountaintop this many years later, that's a problem. Thing with the Tampa Bay Rays, for them to just be a winning team every year or almost every year, they're a small market team. They're bottom of the barrel in payroll. There's no excuse for the Yankees to go this long without at least making it to the World Series once. This year, once again, came into the season as contenders, couldn't even make it to the ALDS. I really don't know what to tell you if you don't consider that a failure. I don't consider the Blue Jays season as a failure because they were supposed to be a borderline playoff team. They ended up winning 91 games. Their expectations were lower than the Yankees' expectations this year. If the Yankees were to win this game and then lose in the ALDS, it may be weird to say, but I would consider the Red Sox season more of a success than the Yankees season. You know why? Because the Red Sox were supposed to be really bad this year. But here they are now in the ALDS. This isn't me being greedy. This is just how I assess whether you failed or not. I don't know how expectations don't matter when it comes to assessing whether you've succeeded or failed. So Aaron Boone definitely needs to go. My only fear of firing him is if they bring in another guy to do exactly what he does, to be a puppet. Marcus Timms needs to go. Phil Nevin needs to go. Brian Cashman, if you can just not be so concerned about being the smartest man in the room. I don't think Cashman's even close to being the worst GM, but he's definitely far from the best when you have all that money and you've only won one World Series in the last 20 years. I wouldn't be mad if Brian Cashman gets fired. Absolutely not. He has been able to find gems before. He even found one this year in Clay Holmes. Only one World Series in 20 years though, with all that money, that's inexcusable. You definitely need to do things differently if this is how it's still going to this day. We're tired of the same thing over and over and over again. I understand we still have it better than most fans. I know. That doesn't mean we can't be frustrated though. Oh, and Brian Cashman is the one who hired Aaron Boone. Brian Cashman definitely deserves heat for that. The dynasty years, Brian Cashman became the main man in charge in 1998. The team already had its core pieces. Bringing in David Justice, who was the 2000 ALCS MVP, Brian Cashman deserves credit for that. Maybe some partial credit since he was an assistant in the early 90s, but no way full credit. He wasn't the one making the final decisions, am I right? Since he was only an assistant. At least Bob Watson and Gene Michael kept George Steinbrenner from trading Jeter, Mo, and Bernie before they even had a chance to thrive in the big leagues. Maybe Brian Cashman had a helping hand in there too. Either way, the core pieces were already there when Cashman actually became the GM. Which does bring me to another thing. I don't give a if George Steinbrenner is dead, okay? All these people saying, if George was here. Maybe at least he cares more about winning than his son does, but he was also extremely irrational about it. Yet the fan base milks him like a cow. He's not the great owner that so many of you think he is. I will leave a link to the Stark Raving Sports video in the description so I don't have to waste my time explaining this, because I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse every time I do. I've already been over this before in my Yankees rant video that I made back in June when the Red Sox swept the Yankees the first time. But alright, yeah, I said quite a lot here. I'm just more disappointed than I am angry. Even though I picked the Yankees to make the World Series at the beginning of the year, which happens to be completely wrong, I knew by May that this team was not a contender. I gave up on those hopes of being a contender by May. In April, the red flags were definitely there, but I just wasn't willing to give up yet. But May came around and I thought, yeah, this team just doesn't have what it takes to contend. So clearly, some tough decisions need to be made. If you want to suggest any, I'll be glad to listen to them. But this has been my team since I was 8 years old, and it will be until I die. And I will still continue to cover the MLB playoffs. I'll still do my NFL content as well. Basketball season's coming up. I'll definitely get back on the basketball grind as well. So I hope you guys stick around for that too. So thank you so much for watching. Yeah, if you want to leave a like, if you want to subscribe, or hit the notification bell, your support is much appreciated. So yeah, disappointing season comes to an end. I know 92 wins may not sound like a disappointment to most, but considering what the expectations were for this team, yes, it's a disappointment. You're not changing my mind about that. I'm sorry. I find it pretty ludicrous to be able to think that this season was not a disappointment considering what the expectations were. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Even if this wasn't my most entertaining video, I just had to get it out to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not going to hide when my team gets knocked out of the playoffs. I didn't even hide during the regular season when the team was struggling. I sure won't hide when the team gets knocked out of the playoffs. So I hope you're happy to see that I at least wasn't hiding from any of this. Alright, bye.